Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, Special Assistant to the Mayor for Community, Culture, and Belonging. And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together. Hello, Appleton Engaged listeners. I am super excited to be back here with you again. Happy podcast day. We are missing our co-host, Andy. Andy got tied up in some meetings. Want to send a special shout out to Andy. All right, we are super excited about today's guest and organization in particular. Particularly, it's the season for them. You see them everywhere. Maybe a little hint is if you hear those bells ringing when you're walking into different stores and other different places, that's them out here doing the work of our community, helping to provide for those in need. Even more reason why I'm super excited to have this conversation, but I think there's so much more to them than just ringing bells, and I'm hoping that this conversation today is going to help us understand more about their mission. So, this week's guest is Kristal Knudtson, Director of Development and Marketing and Communications for the Salvation Army Fox Cities, and Mindy Howell, Housing Care Manager for the Salvation Army of the Fox Cities. Hey, Kristal. Hey, Mindy. How are we doing today?
Hi. Good. Thank you for having us.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now let's get down to the real business, and that is this. Can you please share a little something about yourself and your association with Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Yeah. Well, I've been here now for 25 years. I'm originally from the Milwaukee area. So when I came up here, I just felt initial connection going to college in the area and having kids and growing up in this community. It's been great to work for great companies like the Bolt Company and Appvion, get some great experience, and meanwhile be on the advisory board for the Salvation Army while taking my kids to different sports activities and just enjoying the community. So really like the area, love the area, and can't ever see myself moving from the area because of how great the community is.
25 years has already proven that.
Yes.
All right, Mindy.
I've been here for about 24 years. I actually met my husband in college at La Crosse, who is originally from here. So moved here after that. Our daughter went to Appleton East, and I think one of the things that I enjoy most about Appleton is the nature. I love the river walks down by the river. I'm very close to the parks like Tallulah Park and disc golfing and things like that. So I just love being out in nature.
Oh, those river walks are so good. Yeah. But maybe not so good this time of the year.
Right.
No.
Well, can you both please tell us a little bit about your resource?
Yeah, so the Salvation Army originated in 1865 from William Booth. So the Salvation Army as a whole has been around for 157 years. It started here in Appleton in 1917, which brings us to 107 years here in the Appleton, Fox Cities area. And what we do is we meet the physical needs without discrimination for anything such as housing, our food program, and our Christmas assistance program in his name. But again, we do a lot of these programs on those three things specifically. And there's a lot when we take a double click and a deeper dive into each of those categories on how we help those in need. And then a lot of one-off things that we help with, whether that's our hygiene or it's school back to school, or sometimes different needs that are needed for gas or clothing throughout the year. And again, when I say year, really January through December, because a lot of the times, as you mentioned in the beginning, is we hear those red kettle bells, and a lot of the times we think that the need sometimes is only in November and December, and it's not. It's January through December.
Yeah, it's year round.
Yeah.
And there's lots of need. And I don't know. I know some Salvation Armies do like a food pantry or anything. Does this one do that?
It does. It has it at 130 East North Street. Our food pantry and our noon lunch program is run out of that office.
Let's since you mentioned that, there's multiple locations, right? And I think we got a chance to kind of share a little bit of information before we started recording, and I did not know that there was multiple locations of the Salvation Army here.
So I am located out of our 105 South Badger Avenue office, and that is our housing services building. We have 11 efficiency units in that building, and that began in 1994, and it originally was a firehouse. So it was converted into those buildings with help of the community at that time. And we recently, 2 years ago, redid the units, so they have everything new and fresh in there.
Yeah. So, and the funny story about that, and funny, it was actually really cool. Funny is the right word, but we got the building for $1. And it kind of just shows you right from the beginning how the community came together saying, oh, we no longer need this fire station for XYZ reasons. We're bringing it over to a different location, but we know the Salvation Army needs help. We know our neighbors need help, and let's give them a roof over their head. So that's how that all started there over at Badger Street. So that's one location. The other one is the one that Mindy just talked about is where my office is, and that's the 130 East North Street. That's what our social services building is. It's kind of the hub too. Any questions you have, just come on in there. We have a receptionist, and they'll direct you to anywhere that you might need to go. But specifically at that building is where our food program is, which is our food pantry and our noon meal program. And just to reiterate for that is our noon meal program is every single day, Monday through Sunday. So there is no checking in. There is no needing proof of anything to come and get the meal. We don't ask questions. Just the doors are open and the meal's made every single day. As far as the pantry, you can come twice a month, and that is a check-in. Really what we need for that is a proof of residency and to show that you are from the area. And that's a lot for our donors, right? Because we really pride ourselves in saying that our donations do stay local and they do go to your neighbors. So that's where that building is. And then our third building is our child care and worship building, and that's out on Appleton Street in Menasha. It also is a multi-purpose somewhat building, as we have our Christmas assistance distribution over there. So right now, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, here coming up, but all the toys, adopt a family that people are collecting at this point, it'll be dropped off there shortly in December, and that's where all of our clients will come and pick up the gifts. It's pretty humbling. I'd ask anybody who would like to see it. We will definitely give you a tour at any time.
That's a lot. Do you have any idea approximately how many people you serve in a year in this region?
That's a great question. I can tell you how many that we give out individually. So, for example, adopt a family this year, 301 families were adopted, and they've already been matched. And from prior years, it was hard to hit the number, and we were on the news for a push. Hey, can you donate? Can you adopt a family? So we were able to already match them up. For the toys, last year, it was about a 15% increase from the prior year, but we were about 23,000 toys. And you could imagine walking in a gym full that's sorted by all of our wonderful volunteers of boys, girls, 0 to 3 years, 4 to 6 years, and all the way up to age 17. And our volunteers will walk everybody through, and they can pick out what toys they want for their kids. So it is very, very humbling when you go in and take a look at this mound full of toys and how many people that we serve.
And that's in partnership with the Toys for Tots program. We don't want to forget to mention that.
Yes, the Toys for Tots Marines, yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah.
partnership with them.
Big shout out.
Yeah.
Big shout
Right.
out.
Yeah.
And let me expand that question. What about your food program? Do you have any idea approximately how many people you come and utilize the pantry, or how many people come and eat meals regularly?
Yeah. On a daily basis, we average about 120 a day.
Wow.
And
120?
correct. Yeah. And that goes up during the summer, because school's out. But then, just the way the economy's been since COVID, that ebbs and flows. So it's not all duplicate. It's all new faces. And sometimes, we'll see them for a while and even eat lunch with them, get to know their story, and then we won't, and we'll see them again, because people are trying hard to make a living and buy their own food and to make their own meals. But, so that's why we're there. We don't ask the questions. It's just come on in and we'll feed you. As far as the pantry, that number's huge. It was last year we were at 845,000 pounds of food. So that can, that's a little bit more perspective there. Yeah. Per day, we give groceries to about 60 families a day.
On average.
On average.
Because it can be up or down from there.
Yep. So on average. So sometimes you'll see if it's, you can kind of know if it could be on the weather, it could be on food share stamps, it could be when, we had the stimulus checks, people are using their other resources first, really, they are. And then once they come and realize that, okay, we're at the bare minimum, how are we going to get the next meal? They know the Salvation Army's there.
So, Mindy, let me ask, okay, it sounds like you're kind of part of that housing program,
yes.
right? So how do you qualify for that? And is it hard? And how often do units come available?
So we have several different programs of housing that we run out of there. But specifically for me, we pull off of the coordinated entry list, which is a couple of government grants, tenant-based rental assistance, Reverie Housing, which is run through the city. And Liz Curley, who's our CE case manager, that's how I get the families for there.
Oh, yeah, big shout out to Liz.
Right? But we also have our housing retention program. So that's a little bit different, and our Pathway of Hope. So each of those programs do specific things, but Pathway of Hope is a national Salvation Army program, which it doesn't provide housing assistance, but it provides case management to those who may hopefully prevent a homeless experience and who have goals and who have children. So that's that one. And then, like I said, I could get into government grants. We serve about 60-some people on programming at a given time. So
no, what I want to ask is, okay, you said there's like 3 different programs.
Yes.
So at 10,000 feet, what's the quick summary between the 3 programs?
So rapid rehousing is for those with high barriers who are basically homeless on the street, fleeing domestic violence, or in the shelters.
Okay.
TBRA also has to be a homeless or DV, but there's a little bit of flexibility. That program is ran through the Appleton Housing Authority. That's who administrates the program, and then Advocate Pillars in Salvation Army do that program. For rapid rehousing, it's Advocate Pillars in Salvation Army. So we all collaborate on that grant together. So less obstacles in terms of, and then housing retention is how it sounds. We want to keep them in their houses. So that's very flexible. It's Salvation Army funding. So it could be rent, but it could be maybe they're having problems with daycare or a car repair, or that can go up to a year. And the other programs go up to 2 years.
Okay. I just felt like we needed to understand the 3 programs. What's something that you think people misunderstand about the Salvation Army? Or do you think there's a myth that people might have about the Salvation Army and who they serve or how they serve?
Yeah, I think that overall, even though our mission says we serve and provide any physical need without discrimination, I think there may still be a myth that maybe that's not true. And we're here to say that between Mindy and myself, we have about 35 years of the Salvation Army Fox Cities working experience, that we've worked with the clients, we've worked with employees, and we've worked with the community, corporations, anyone and everyone here in the community, to say that we don't care about a checklist of anything other than, are you hungry? Are you cold? Do you need a roof over your head? And we'll help, Christmas assistance, we'll help supply that.
Right now, during our current condition, who do you feel you're primarily serving? Who do you see the most of?
Really anyone. We service anyone, and I think there are a lot of families in our current situation with the economy that we're paycheck to paycheck and no longer can afford not just the how am I going to stretch to buy a present for my kid's birthday present, but the heating bill, right? So now we're not even choosing between the both. Now we just don't have the heat anymore. So now what are we going to do? Where do we go? And so they'll come into the Salvation Army, and we can direct them and help them in different ways. If it's not us that can help, we like to be a resource and tell them where they can go in the community as well. But back to your question as far as who, we won't necessarily, and Mindy can bring into this but really it can be anybody at any time, because we never know what's going to happen. I do remember one story a couple of years ago. I interviewed a family who was part of the housing retention or program that we have. And family had a couple kids, mom and dad. Mom didn't work. Dad was the breadwinner and had just had a freak accident. And he had passed away, unfortunately. No life insurance. They seemed from the outside to have, just this is life where they go on mini vacations. They'd had, the food, and they weren't, doing all the grandiose things, but did not need the services. But now the breadwinner of the house, the father, had passed away, no insurance. The mother and the woman and their children now needed our services. So just like that overnight, anything can change, right? But then there's also the mental health that it gets involved, as well as just anything situationally.
So I would say in terms of housing is that we serve mainly individuals who have mental health and probably addiction issues, and single moms, because of the difference in income, whether that be domestic violence or their own mental health issues. Those are the main two categories that I think I see, and that's been pretty prevalent throughout the time that I've been with the Salvation Army. I do think in terms of housing, it's the worst that I've seen it in terms of housing market and affordable housing being available to our clients, since it's not really available to middle class. Even people who've had divorces have a great job. There's not enough housing, and there's not enough affordable housing.
There's challenges out there.
Yeah.
Facts. Can you both please share a story that'll help the Appleton Engaged listeners understand the impact of the Salvation Army?
Yeah. So I'll just share a story with you of a client of ours. She was our guest speaker. We had an event called the Night of Thanksgiving, and it was an additional fundraising event outside of the Red Kettles. And at that event, we talked about the impact of the dollar for donors and where it goes and who it helps. And one of the things we did there, and it was we had a guest speaker. She's so brave to get up there, first of all, in front of about 150 people to even tell her story. As we know, the number one fear for a lot of people is public speaking. So,
facts.
Right? So just amazing that she was able to come up. But she was born and raised here in Appleton. She was one of 5 siblings. And her dad, was not around, raised by a single mom who had a great job in the community, at one of the community banks, but still could not afford for the food. She shared stories, so I can, and I know I have her permission to say that she shared stories that she would go to school and her mom will get called saying, you have to come pick up your kids because they smell. And the reason for it was that because they didn't have any soap. They didn't have money for soap for a shower. She had mentioned she remembered her stomach growling and her mom just, crying and saying, I don't know how I'm going to get, the next food on the table for you. She remembers her mom digging her arm, the swipe into the purse, trying to come up with coins just for milk at school. And her saying, which I won't forget and sticks in my head, is, we went to the Salvation Army, and as soon as I had my first meal there, I've always felt safe since. And her big word was, safe. I knew that I was not ever going to go hungry again. So she, to this day, still uses our services, our pantry, as well as our new meal program. But the cool part about the story with her is she also gives back by ringing bells. So she rings on Northland Festival Foods, the highest bell ringer. She has all of the slots, 240 hours. So not only is she using the services and has seen how it affected her parents and her siblings, but also she can give back volunteering, knowing that she's also giving back to a good cause that she's using the services for.
That's powerful.
Very powerful.
So mine are a little different since I work with them for a long period of time, almost 2 years. This family I have known for over 8 years. She obviously isn't a client anymore, but she came in to the program, one of the programs, TBRA at the time, with 2 daughters, and out of the Harbor House domestic abuse shelter. So she had actually worked very hard, had a degree. Her daughters were in middle school, but she left a perpetrator and was having a hard time, well, really adjusting to one income. And at that time, she was still trying to work. She ended up being pretty traumatized by her experiences and was able to get on Social Security. Through the TBRA program, they get a preference with Section 8. So if they achieve certain things on the program, they'll get bumped up on the waiting list, which she was able to do. So she achieved that, and she is very active in the community and in our coffee club, which is something that we offer to clients, kind of just to socialize the clients, that so they get to know each other. And she says that the Salvation Army helped her just become more active, because otherwise she was staying in her room. She kind of had agoraphobia. Well, she really did have agoraphobia, and now she doesn't. A pet, she did get a pet, which also helped her. So that's one. And one is that it's kind of my worst case scenario. We had a man who was living in Grand Chute in his own little hut. Pulled him off of the rapid rehousing list. People had pulled him off of the rapid rehousing list before. He wasn't ready to make a change. It's a lot for these people because it is their freedom. Like living in their own, not having to take care of their own place, even though they aren't getting their basic needs met, they are in some way, whether you're panhandling or you're getting money. Anyway, he had just gotten Social Security because Pillars had helped him, and we were able to get him into a unit. He was so proud of that unit, and then his health started declining. Like he couldn't walk, he couldn't. Anyway, he is now at an assisted living in Berlin, and that's where he should be. He's had several surgeries, but he still calls and contacts and thanks us for helping him get off the street.
There was an acronym that you used in the prior story. What did that acronym stand for?
The tenant-based rental assistance.
Okay, that's it. Tenant-based.
Sorry.
The
Nope.
TBR.
Yep. All right.
Housing has a lot of acronyms.
Oh,
And then
yes.
they're like, if you don't know housing speak, it's really hard to.
I just want to make sure. So, like, if anybody's listening to this and they're thinking, I need to know more about that, just so they know what they're going to ask for. Are there any upcoming initiatives or events or engagement opportunities?
So right now is the Big Red Kettles. So we need volunteers.
Yes.
Lots of volunteers. Yes. We need you to ring that bell. Statistically, we know this. For those who also hear the bells, and for those who don't know this, if you are ringing the bell, it brings in 95% more donations than if you're not. It just does. And that is one of the categories for hitting our Christmas goal. And our Christmas goal is comprised of, it's our overall goal is 1.2 million. And that's comprised of, I'm sure you get white mail or white appeals, right? Mail that shows up in your mailbox asking for donations. Then there's the online. There are people who just do from their IRA. There are people who donate individually just because. Then we have the another part of that is the Red Kettles, which is a huge part of that. And our Red Kettle goal is 260,000. And again, without volunteers, we won't make that goal. And having somebody go on, you can easily go to registertoring.com. It's very intuitive. Grab your coworkers, grab your family. When I started having kids, my daughter's almost 18 in a couple months. I did it with my family when I was younger, but I wanted something like every single year, we're going to do this, So that was a tradition that we started, when she was born in January. So literally then almost 1 year old. So family, you go out there, there's people singing, they bring their pets, they do balloons. There's at Woodman's now, while her while her husband is hunting for the next week and a half. She's going to be there every morning playing her piano. So just come out and take a look at it. A lot of people can have fun with it as well, but just remember any of the change that goes into that bucket when you are ringing the bells or dollars, many hands make for light work. Same thing. Many coins make for a lot of money, a lot of donations that, again, it's not just November and December. It's January through December. Because otherwise we have to start thinking about, what we have and making some hard decisions. And we've had to do that this year already. So part of our Christmas program is for individuals. We typically give out a gift card, $50 gift card for an extra nice meal that they could go to the grocery store and make a Christmas meal. And combined, typically every year, that's about $110,000. And we had to pull that out this year because we have to make some hard choices of, the very basic needs are getting met without going over budget. That's something that as a nonprofit, you can't forecast what somebody's going to give you the next year, right? So if we're talking about initiatives, please get out there and ring the bell. 1 hour at a time really can feed a family of 4. I can give, depending on how much people give, all of the things that we've been talking about, it helps our neighbors in any way.
It's a good time. I've done some bell ringing, and it is a great time. And here, as much as it does, my assumption, as much as it does help the Salvation Army and its missions, the person who makes the donation, it helps them too, because they get the biggest smiles when they come and share.
Oh, yeah. We get a lot of stories.
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of people will be ringing the bell, or somebody will be ringing the bell. They'll call us up. I had such a great time, and so-and-so told me, that how they knew the Salvation Army, or there's always a story attached to it, no matter where we are. And it's a feel-good for them. Who doesn't feel good when you're doing something for others? So that goes along, again, with being synergized with our community and all coming together to help for one common need.
Now, I've got the question, and that is this. Many people don't carry cash anymore, right? I'm just being real.
It's
like
true.
Or go out.
That too, right? I didn't even think
Just
about
order
that.
online.
Yeah, I forgot because I am that dude myself. So, so has things been put in place for the change in the way people interact and shop and do money?
Yes, absolutely. So for those that do go out and aren't purchasing like the groceries beforehand or whatever it might be for pickup, this year we are piloting it's the Tip Tap. A lot of people know what that is, but for those who don't, ours is set at a $5 mark, and more of our locations that have higher foot traffic, like the Fleet Farm, the Woodman's, the Festival Foods, you just come on in, take out your card, and you literally tap it against the Tip Tap, and you can just keep on going. Before, there was always an extra added step. If it was a QR code, first you had to get out your phone, then your camera, and then the website would come up on where to donate online. And you keep walking, and then you have all these distractions, and then you're really there to grocery shop or to shop for something, and then you think you'll get to it later, and 9 out of 10 times you don't. So this is a quick thing that can happen immediately because we know people want that. That's just been from feedback.
Oh yeah, I want the most simplest way. And
Yeah.
so what you're basically telling me, like when you go to a restaurant and they've got that little symbol there, and you just take your card out and you tap it on there, and that makes the payment. You can do that for Salvation Army donations?
Yes. Chick-fil-A has one right now. If you go inside their store and you order something and you decide as you're putting your card away from your wallet, you'll see it and you can just tap it and then it will right into our program needs. And so that's one way. We are working with other stores in the community to see if they can have it at their tables as well. But another way is if you do not go out by foot, and that's okay. We're busy. We're all trying to put together more productivity in one day. So we order online, safoxcities.org. You go on, and it's very easy to click the dollar amount you want, and that's our online giving. And that'll also be just as effective as if you're going out and putting real cash in the red kettles.
All right, let me ask this one. If I'm listening right now and I'm a manager or an owner of a business and I'm thinking, well, you know what, I could use, a little red kettle in front of my storefront. How does someone make that happen?
Yes, please call us. Call me. I'm the one that starts with that. This is Kristal, and you can call us at our number, which is 920-734-3324. Otherwise, come on in to 130 East North Street, or you can go to our website safoxcities.org, and it has all the contact information on there. All the social media platforms we are on, just look that up too, and it has all of. You can certainly get a message through there, and we will get back right away. We typically respond immediately, whether that's a donor or a client.
And some organizations have, or agencies or stores have the little kettles up like all the time year round. So
Oh, you can do that too.
yeah.
You might have seen that Quick Trip,
They're like little.
So I know you said kettles, but what else can the community do to be helpful?
Given where we know our budget's at and what we talked about earlier, already having to take away one of our programs, which was worth $110,000. If there's anyone out there that really can give a monetary donation to give back, for those programs, even our food, whether that there's still commodities that we need to purchase, and we do get a discount on them as a nonprofit. But if we don't have the monetary donations to do that, we can't get more of those protein foods, more of those dairy that we would be purchasing.
And I would say hygiene products.
And then hygiene products, absolutely.
Are those things that you can directly donate at all?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You can either directly come to our office on 130 East North Street and drop them off. Any kind of hygiene too. It's not like we're out of one. We're always out of any toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo, conditioner. I mean, you name it. But there's also on our website, safoxcities.org. If we go out on there, you will see there's always what's the need. And it brings up like a Walmart registry, and whether that's for hygiene things or things that the Salvation Army needs to help cook for a meal, or for the adoptive family or for the Toys for Tots. Here are different, toys that you can just purchase online, and it'll get directly shipped right to our building.
Teenagers we need.
Yes, we always run low on teenager gifts.
Oh yeah, they're hard to buy.
They're hard to
They
buy.
are hard to buy for.
Yeah. But get involved. I mean, with corporations, we also, Mindy talked about Hope Night. That's always a sponsorship opportunity. Once a year we have, it's much like a gala. It just happened, but I start right away in January again, talking to organizations to sponsor a table for that night. So 100% of all of our donations go to, whether that's sponsoring a match day, any of our events, or doing in-kind donations. But of the monetary, 100% goes towards our all year round programs.
All right. I know throughout this you've thrown out different ways to contact, but I'm going to ask you, can we sum it up? Who can people contact if they'd like to learn more or to give more?
Yes. Contact myself, Kristal Knudtson. My number is 920-883-9437. The reason I give you that is I am always in the community, out and about, and that's the easiest way to reach me. We can put something on the schedule right away to have a conversation. And I do a lot of tours. I do a lot of tours for individuals and or corporations of our food pantry, of our noon meal program, where every single tour, I haven't had one person say, wow, coming and seeing this is a lot different than just hearing it. And now that we're in the Christmas assistant time, I can't give tours January through October for that. Let me give you a tour of what thousands of toys looks like, and for the thousands of families that need it in November and December.
Guess what? Offer accepted.
Wonderful.
I want that tour.
Excellent.
Mindy, I want a tour too, if that's possible.
I'm out at the Christmas site.
Okay.
I process the applications. I work with the people, so I am there. And then you can definitely come over to our housing services building at any time. Welcome.
Awesome. That is awesome. Okay. Is there any additional information that you would like to share with the Appleton Engaged listeners that maybe we didn't ask a question about at this time?
What I would say is the biggest thing is there's a lot of great nonprofits and other organizations in our community. It's important. What we have been doing is coming together in all of it, and we're proud of that. But with that said, it's hard to really get to know every single organization. So in all the needs, this is why we thank you for the space and being able to talk about what we have. But if there's any curiosity on explaining more, because there's a lot of history after 150 years. And there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of more numbers. If you're number driven on, on any of the programs, please, that awareness is huge, because I think once you hit the awareness and you can understand emotionally what's happening in your our backyard, there's more of an incline to maybe have an idea or want to go and ring the bells or go give monetary donations. So a lot of times that's driven by passion. But if you don't have the passion, you don't have the know-how, you need the know-how. We need to do that as an organization, is to let you know what's out there.
In terms of the whole housing community, I would say that call out to landlords that are willing to work with the programs that we have. We can't house them all in Pillars Salvation Army Ava-Cap units. We need a lot more landlords to kind of work together with our programs and help us out. We're in there with our clients, so we do the work. We're there weekly. We try to be. So just a shout out to landlords to kind of give them a chance.
All right. Well,
Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I have one more. I can't let this go. We have our board, our advisory board, and we do have open positions. So if you wanted to get to know more about the Salvation Army, or maybe you already know a lot about it and you just want to do more with the Salvation Army, please reach out as well, because we do have an amazing, talented board, and we'd love to have you on if it's something that would fit your needs and align with our mission.
Well, now we're going to get to the real business of the show, and that is this. It is shout-out time. Mindy, Kristal, who we shouting out?
I'd just like to shout out to all of the workers that do the work on the ground in housing, because it is a challenging job, and love all ya.
And the best way, my shout out is an analogy here, and I think of it, and I've said this before, if you've heard this from me before, but like a three-legged stool. And the only way that stool can stand up is by these three legs. And what are those three legs? Those are my shout outs. One is our advisory board. The other one is our volunteers. And the other one is our donors, whether that's corporations or individuals. So thank you. We could not do the most good in the community without all three of those synergizing together. So thank you.
Okay. Kristal, Mindy, thank you. Appleton Engaged listeners, at this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. Thank you for spending time with us and learning about another amazing resource in our community, helping to make it a better place. It's that time. If you have time, get out there and ring some bells, stand by a kettle, and help those who are some of our most vulnerable and who have need. I promise you, it's such a gratifying experience as somebody who has personally done it themselves. Appleton Engaged listeners, you know what we're trying to do, and I think you know what I'm going to say. We are trying to become the #1 podcast in Northeast Wisconsin, and we can't do it without your help. So a few things you can do is this. As you are listening to the program and you're thinking, Timber, you should ask this. Timber, you should ask that. Or we need a segment on this. Guess what? You should probably let me know that, because I'd love to hear from you. And also, maybe you're listening and you're saying, I would be a great guest, or I know a great guest. Guess what? I should probably know that too. Well, how can you let me know? You can let me know by emailing us at diversity@appleton.org. Once again, that is diversity@appleton.org. Also, we think we have a really valuable resource here in the Appleton Engaged podcast. We want to get in front of as many eyes and ears here in the region as possible, because we truly are trying to help make this a better place. And all you got to do is a few simple things to help us out. And that's this. While you're listening to this podcast, hit the subscribe button. If you've got a few more minutes, fill out a review. And if you see stars there that say rank here, go on and give us those 5 stars. Don't you dare give us 4 stars. We work hard over here in Appleton Engaged. So give us those 5 stars, and those things help improve our analytics. And the better our analytics, the more eyes and ears learn about this jewel in our community known as Appleton Engaged. Okay, Appleton Engaged listeners, I just want to say once again, this is the season of giving. This is who we are as a community. We are such a proud community and a community that truly takes care of each other here. And I think this particular resource is an easy way to do that. If you don't know how, it doesn't get much easier than this by working with the Salvation Army. Well, until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.